Now, film tourism offers South Africa a unique opportunity to attract global visitors by showcasing its diverse landscapes, heritage and culture through storytelling. By leveraging in creative industries, affordable production costs and rich heritage, South Africa can create film-inspired tourism products that boost the economy, preserve cultural landmarks and reshape global perceptions. Dr. Charlene Herselman of the Department of Historical and Heritage Studies at the University of Pretoria joins us for more on this topic. A very good evening to you, Dr. Herselman. Thank you so much for your time. How, as we try and assess the impact of film and tourism, as we try and correlate the two, how can the narrative South Africa tells about the country attract more tourists?
Well, it is, as you have stated, South Africa really is the full package. We already a very competitive filming destination because of the rich variety of landscapes that we offer. We can be a setting for any sorts of film or television series. We also have incredibly technically skilled crews and infrastructure, which means that we are capable of producing very high quality productions. And as you say, the production costs are low because we offer tax incentives through the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. And also our exchange rate is not too bad if you are coming here from the United States or Europe, amongst others. And they've estimated actually that you can make the same quality production that you would in Hollywood in South Africa for a quarter of the price. So we already have the film industry interested. We really just have to work on developing our film tourism products. And we have such incredible diversity and we featured in so many different productions that we really have so much potential.
We take a look at how beneficial films may be for our heritage side. There's also a ripple effect as you talk about this being an attractive destination and also one that is affordable with the same level of quality that one would expect in Hollywood. What is the ripple effect when it comes to other factors of the economy?
Well, as you've stated, our heritage sector is unfortunately sometimes chronically underfunded. There are so many other priorities to fund. And in the face of that, you know, something has to lose out. And unfortunately, oftentimes it is our heritage sites. And international best practice has actually demonstrated that you can use heritage sites quite successfully as filming locations, which then not just brings in money from the actual film production, but it also brings in money from the subsequent tourism that follows to that place. It also increases the invisibility or the visibility, not just in terms of drawing visitors, but also in terms of when funding does become available, people are more aware of those heritage sites, so they stand a better chance of actually achieving funding for critical things like conservation. But also I think film tourism is what we call a niche tourism. Many of our visitors to South Africa is repeat visitors. They've been here, they've done standard touring, and now they're looking for something different. The National Department of Tourism is very interested in investing in things like culinary tourism, astro-tourism, and film tourism. And particularly because of that, you know, you can create these film products. And film tourism happens not just in your main sites, it actually happens in many, many different other places. The Northern Cape, the Free State that we just saw. Yeah. And that means that we can get a better geographic spread of benefits for these locations, not just the main sites.
I found it quite interesting that according to research conducted by SI Research, that 80 million people select their travel destinations based almost exclusively on films and TV series. I mean, I thought that was incredible because I'm part of the 80 million myself, having watched the movie and thought, wow, how beautiful, how romantic, Paris and so forth. When it comes to embracing and experiencing South Africa's rich cultural diversity, I mean, what stands out when a tourist is watching, you know, some of the films created here and thinking, I would love to visit South Africa?
Well, I mean, our landscapes are obviously one that definitely stands out. But Unfortunately, also for South Africa, we haven't really leveraged the same sort of visibility as Paris has done, for example. We what is known often as a stand-in location, which means that because we are less expensive or just preferable in other cases, we are the filming location, but the film is actually set in another place. And that's not necessarily bad, because if the 80 million people who really love that film or television series go do their research and see that South Africa is the location, they will continue doing the research and decide to visit South Africa. But there's definitely some scope for South Africa to lobby for itself to be the leading role and not just to stand in.
South Africa's been in the bad news column when it comes to some of the perceived limited narratives around South Africa. I mean, tourists are coming to the Kruger National Park, you know, loss of life there, and some of those stories, how do they add to the bad publicity for South Africa that could perhaps deter one who would want to visit when they think of crime, when they think of poverty, when they think of racism? What work needs to be done in that regard?
Well, historically, I think our whole continent has been the continent of bad news. There's been such negative stories about Africa for hundreds of years. And I think that film is the way that we can actually start changing that by telling our own stories. Think, for example, of Black Panther as a really good example of a positive story that involves Africa. My colleague's actually done quite a lot of work on this, and he's demonstrated how, by taking inspiration from real African culture, languages, featuring incredible talent like John Carney and the late Connie Jume, we can actually create a positive image of South Africa and of Africa. But there's been many of these productions coming through that are sort of giving a more positive outlook. And I think in the face of all of that bad news, and as you say, you know, bad news sells, I think that film is really the space where we can tell the positive story about South Africa and the rich experiences and heritage, both cultural, natural, historical, that we do have to offer.
What opportunity do you think this now creates for creatives, film producers, people who have a good story to tell?
Well, hopefully things are on the move. We have done research projects with the National Department of Tourism where they are interested in developing film tourism as a destination development tool. And we've also been seen come out of that initiatives by South African tourism, where they've gone into a partnership with Netflix. And called this partnership Made in South Africa, where we've seen some South African content and productions coming through on Netflix, on this massive streaming giant. And a part of that is actually investment in the film industry, which is really good if you are an up-and-coming producer, writer, and you want to get your foot in the door. This is really a way that you can do that. And so basically, they play off each other. I think the film industry can inspire the tourism industry and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. We are going to have to leave it there for now. Of course, speaking to Dr. Charlene Herselman of the Department of Historical and Heritage Studies at the University of Pretoria.